Hello there, and welcome to another Kniche production. Today we've got HSC operations, and we'll be looking at the influence of sort of technology, quality expectations, cost-based competition, government policies, legal regulation, and environmental sustainability. So strap yourselves in for an exciting time. So our first influence that we're going to look at today is that of technology. Now, technology may be defined as the design, construction, and or application of innovative devices, methods, and machinery upon the operations process. Now, we all know the varying communication or technology that we use on a day-to-day basis now, including emails, phone, and laptops. Now, these technologies enable more people to communicate more easily and enable improved processes. As it links with globalization, you can see that these have had a massive impact on operations functions within a business. However, it goes beyond these personal ones that can be used into a more a business orientated. Now, these are the technologies used in operations. As you can see up here, there's the use of large machines in manufacturing plants, such as those typical of assembly line production. This has enabled really streamlined processes which have reduced cost and allowed specialization of jobs. You have the use of robotics in highly sophisticated production processes. Now, these require great precision, and once again, they can be standardized to a product so that the company is achieving economies of scale and they're really precise and take out the human element of mistakes. And last, the use of computer aided design, manufacture, and computer integrated manufacturing. So, as you can see here, this is computer aided design, and this is where online they can make changes, or designers can make changes as they go, put it into the machine, and a machine will actually create this exactly as given on that, as opposed to the old way of having to do it only once and seeing what happens when it's made. And which brings us on to our next influence, which is that of quality expectations. Now, quality can be defined, as how well designed, made, and functional goods are, and the overall degree of competence with which services are organized and delivered. Now, that's all well and good, but what's that, Mr. Operations Manager? What does this mean for you? Thank you for asking. You've got a nice little tie you're wearing there. For you, mate, it means the operations management, it's the quality informs everything that you do within that. People have expectations of the business, and that determines how products are designed, created, and delivered to the customers. Clearly, this implies that operations processes must follow particular standards or prescribed minimum levels of excellence. As we'll see on the next page, Mr. Operations Manager, I'll give you an example of each of these and how they work. Quality expectations. Firstly, there can be quality of design and fitness for purpose. These here are called LeBron James shoes. They're made by Nike, and they were made for him after they won the championship 2 years ago. Now, these cost roughly $300 to $350 at purchase. No, sorry, they're a lot more. They're about $1,000 at purchase. They've got a resale value of thousands and thousands of dollars, and it's because of the quality of design, and they've got the fitness for purpose. So there's a lot of features on this which make them an exquisite basketball shoe, and the design is paramount in that. So that's one thing that they've really concentrated on as opposed to their standardized product. You've got durability, as you can see just here, mag lights. Mag lights are renowned for their durability, so if you buy one for whether it be $100, $200, you can almost be guaranteed that they're going to last for years and years and years. And there's actually an ad that they've made which shows a truck running over that mag light just to show the durability and its purpose of use. And finally, we've got reliability and professionalism of service. Our friendly folks up here at Officeworks have made a habit of being extremely professional. They greet you at the door, they ask you what you would like, they send you to somebody who can help you, and they follow that through until the end of that operations process, where they let you out at the door and they send you on your way. So that's just one way that quality expectations is an influence on operations management. Now, our next influence is that of cost-based competition. Now, you've got to cast your mind back on this one, back to the preliminary syllabus here, where we looked at break-even point and how business needs to meet total costs in order to start making a profit. So they need to create and apply strategies to get these cost advantages over competitors. Now, businesses that reduce costs, they achieve economies of scale, which means the more you produce, the cheaper it gets because you get a lot more efficient at it. You eliminate waste because the processes are specific, and you could even cast your mind back to more of a scientific breakdown of the job where exact models and modes are used in order to produce a given product. You can use automated production systems, so we touched on that back on technology, and produce standardized products for larger markets. So, as opposed to customizing your product, which takes more labor, which increases the cost and increases the use of the materials used, a standardized product cuts out on that and means it can be specialized and made over a larger, achieving that economy of scale. Before we move on, we just need to make sure, I need to make sure that you understand though that cost-based competition is different from our marketing model, which was the price leadership, which means that you'll put in a price at a level so that you can try and gain some competition from that because you're undercutting the competitors. Now that is actually breaking down on the margin because if you're going to produce a product at a given price, and then put your markup on that, if you reduce the markup, you're reducing your profit per unit. So a cost-based model is where you actually reduce the costs involved in making the product, which means that you can sell it for a price that you want and not cut into those margins. So we'll discuss that further on, however. Our next influence is that of government policies. Now, government policies really do impact on business, and we'll look at one in a second which really has, but there's such things as taxation rates which can change with different governments. There's materials and handling practices which links closely into workplace health and safety. There's standards in training, rules, public health policies. You have your environmental policies which we'll also look more at, and they all have a big impact on business. Now, Julia Gillard, our mate down here, she had a influential, or it was a contentious idea when she got elected back a couple of terms ago, a couple of years ago. Now, she brought in carbon pricing. Carbon pricing was a big deal in Australia because it really cut to the heart of household budgets. Carbon pricing was there where was a levy or a tax applied on business at the ratio in which it produced carbon, so otherwise known as pollution, I guess we can put it down to. Now, the thinking behind this was that businesses will seek to minimize cost by avoiding the tax. So if they reduce the amount of pollution that they were producing, they would reduce costs which could be passed on to the consumer. This really reshaped business practice and was one of the really good examples of how government policy can affect an entire economy. Now, legal regulation ties in closely to this. All aspects of business, they must abide by the laws of the country, okay, that you're operated in. Now, operations management has particular laws that influence this. We will look at an example in a second, but the relevant laws will relate to labour and labour management, as well as environment, public health. They include the following. Workplace health and safety is a big one. Businesses have to abide by that in order to reduce the need for any kind of legal recompense. You have training and development, which entirely encompasses everything a business does. And it relates to the skills and everything needed in order to run your business effectively and what you need your workers to be able to do within that business. And anti-discrimination and fair work. That refers to the dignity and respect that all employees are owed via being in the workplace, and it's something that we look at a lot more in human resources. And the last one is that of environmental protection, which we'll go into a lot more detail in just a minute's time. Which brings us on to environmental sustainability. I know, old mate weirdo with your beardo, you're sick of the environment. But it's such a big element of conducting business in today's environment and the nature of the environment and the consumer and their needs. So I'm really sorry, but I'm going to have to get rid of you right there, mate. Environmental sustainability, otherwise known as ecological sustainability, it means that business operations should be shaped around practices that consume resources today without compromising access to those resources for future generations. So there's the need now to have to look at the processes that you're doing within operations and how it's going to affect people in the long run. That means workers, so different stakeholders, which means your workers, your suppliers, and also the general public. Now, it can be seen in the move by businesses to reduce and minimize waste, recycle water, glass, paper, and metals, and reduce their carbon footprint on a whole. It works twofold. One, it can reduce costs significantly, which we'll see in a second with Mount Franklin, but it also means that with your stakeholders, for example, the public, it means a better relationship with them and ties into corporate social responsibility, which we look at in our next syllabus dot point. A great example is Mount Franklin Water. They've got their Easy Crush bottle, which uses from, I think from memory, is about 60% less plastic. Now, you could argue that they do this from a cost-based perspective more than a sustainability perspective, but on both ways, it's a win-win. They're using less plastic, which means it's reducing their cost, which means they can package it easier, but also from the viewpoint of the public, it's less waste going into our environment. And they actually won a Gold Sustainable Business Award for the design of this package. And that actually brings us to the end of our lecture on the influence of operations management. I want to thank you for your support today, and I cannot wait to see you in class in order to follow up on this. Kniche, peace out.